In this true crime documentary, we uncover the terrifying case of Heather Nicole Maples.
I remember her saying, if I don't answer my phone, just come get me. So when I open the door, I see her mattress and I see her laying there. And I'm calling out to her. I'm like, Heather, Heather. I walk over to her and I notice that she has a top on, but nothing else. And I'm like, gosh, she really got on one last night. So I look at her foot, I tap it, I'm like, Heather? And when I tap it, I realize it's dead cold.
Our story today takes us to the city of Murfreesboro, located in the state of Tennessee. About 35 miles southeast of Nashville, and known as a fast-growing community with constant movement due to its proximity to major highways and its active commercial centers. This city is home to Middle Tennessee State University, the largest public university in the state, surrounded by thousands of students, which fills the area with youth and energy throughout the year. The population of Murfreesboro approaches 165,000 people. Among those residents was Heather Maples, who had recently moved to the city after receiving an acceptance at Middle Tennessee State University. Heather Nicole Maples was born in Ocala, Florida, and entered the world on a stormy night during Hurricane Andrew on August 23, 1992. Her mother, Jennifer Hunter, called her the hurricane baby, never imagining that one day a storm of grief would tear through their family. Helping others came naturally to Heather, and she always walked with a smile on her face. Her best childhood friend was a girl named Jennifer Holt Gomez, whom she met in elementary school in Dallas, Texas, where Heather lived at the time. Jennifer was painfully shy, quiet, and withdrawn, afraid to speak to anyone, while Heather had a special way of bringing her out of her shell. They both tried out for the cheer squad and were incredibly excited when they made the team. In 2004, Heather's mother gave birth to her second child, Ryan, who was diagnosed with a developmental disorder. From that moment, Heather focused most of her time and attention on him, despite only being in 7th grade and still a child herself. She showed remarkable maturity and spent nearly all of her high school years helping Ryan learn to speak, walk, and navigate life, and through caring for him, she found inspiration to pursue a career in counseling. After graduating high school, she received a sudden call from her friend Chaz, who lived in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. During the conversation, Heather mentioned she was searching for a university, and Chaz suggested she come visit, saying the town was a great small college community, and that he believed it would be the perfect place for someone like her. In January 2015, Heather arrived in Tennessee and did not even need to look for housing because Chaz offered her the spare bedroom in his apartment. Heather knew no one else in the city, and quickly her relationship with Chaz shifted from friend and roommate to close companion and eventually boyfriend. Around that time, Heather met a girl her age named Kelsey, and the two became inseparable best friends. Kelsey even helped Heather get a job with her at the leasing office of the Cove Apartments. And shortly after Heather moved in with Kelsey, once she separated from Chaz, ending their 3-month relationship. While settling into her new life, Heather continued exploring the city, working, making new friends, and spending many nights out at bars, taking advantage of the free time before classes began, hoping to learn more about the place she now called home, never imagining that those late nights of laughter would be her last and that she would never make it to the first day of college. In early June 2015, Heather moved into a small apartment in the same building where Kelsey lived, but now she lived alone. Her routine remained the same: work, friendships, nights out. On the evening of August 6, 2015, everything changed for Heather and for everyone who loved her.
I am really sorry that I didn't send you anything yesterday, and I hope you slept good and that we can talk soon.
That morning she talked to her mother, then went to work and told Kelsey she planned to go out that night to a bar called Gentleman Jim's. Because Heather was known to oversleep for work, she asked Kelsey to call her in the morning, and if she did not answer, to go wake her up at the apartment. On August 7, 2015, Kelsey tried calling, but got no response, so she went to Heather's place and found the door unlocked. She walked inside and discovered Heather lying face down on the bed, with her legs slightly hanging off the right side. Kelsey lifted the blanket and saw Heather was not wearing underwear, only a bra, and at first thought she had a wild night, but within seconds realized her body was cold and lifeless, and panic took over. She ran outside and called 911.
We're learning much more tonight about the woman who was brutally murdered inside her Murfreesboro apartment.
And those details include how 22-year-old Heather Maples died. She was found inside her apartment at the Cove at Center Point. It's not far from the MTSU campus. New tonight, our Talia Kaplan got a copy of the search warrant and this new information.
22-year-old Heather Maples just got accepted to MTSU. She was looking forward to the future, but on August 7th, her friend found her on a mattress in the living room of her apartment. The new information coming from this search warrant, it said she had signs of blunt force trauma to her head and marks on her neck to indicate strangulation. It also seemed she may have been sexually assaulted.
We text in the morning throughout the day, and she never texted me back.
That's the voice of Charlie Jones, Maples' boyfriend of 3 months. We spoke with him by phone because he moved to Knoxville a week before Maples' death.
I'm so glad I got to do this the last day. So I got finally the courage to tell her I loved her.
According to court documents, a search of Maples' phone showed texts with several people in the hours before she was killed. 7 men were mentioned in the search warrant, including 2 friends she was with at this bar in Murfreesboro. It's called Gentleman Jim's.
When police entered Heather's apartment, they found the place in complete disarray, which investigators initially interpreted as a forced entry. But Kelsey explained that Heather was not known for keeping a tidy space, even though she admitted the mess looked far worse than usual, leaving detectives puzzled and uneasy. Detective Tommy Massey arrived at the scene and would soon take over the investigation, and the first thing that caught his eye as he approached the bed was a clear, bloody fingerprint smeared across the surface. To Massey, this was the most valuable clue, and he immediately felt the case might be straightforward, believing that such a clear print would quickly identify the killer. Or so he thought at that moment. Massey ordered the crime lab team to collect all fingerprints and send Heather's clothing for DNA analysis, hoping to secure every piece of forensic evidence possible. Meanwhile, detectives questioned Kelsey about Heather's personal life, and naturally they asked about her boyfriend, and what Kelsey revealed pushed the case in a very specific direction, a direction that seemed almost too obvious. Kelsey explained that Chaz, despite their breakup, still believed Heather was his girlfriend, and had become controlling and jealous whenever she went out. Convinced that, because he brought her to the city, he had some claim over her movements. Ultimately, Heather filed an order of protection to ensure he stayed away from her. As evidence collection wrapped up the forensics team, and investigators prepared to leave the building, when something happened that froze everyone in place. A man named Michael calmly lifted the yellow crime scene tape and unlocked Heather's apartment door using a key, while every detective stared in shock. In that moment, investigators forgot about Chaz entirely and became convinced Michael was the killer. Since it is well known among homicide detectives that murderers sometimes return to the scene after the crime. Within minutes, officers detained him and questioned why he was there, and he told them he came to return Heather's apartment key because she had forgotten it with him the night before at the bar, and he forgot to give it back when he dropped her off. Suddenly, detectives realized they had the man who saw Heather alive for the last time, and they quickly escorted him to the interrogation room, believing they had their suspect, or at least that was how everything appeared in that moment.
How do you know Heather?
I met her at the bar.
This is going to be rude, but I got to ask it because that sometimes details are important, sometimes they're not. The first night you met her, did you have sex with her?
I did not. I've never had any contact other than a hug. I've never even kissed her.
So you've never had sex with her?
That's ever.
Okay.
Detectives began questioning Michael about the night he spent with Heather, and he explained that they had dinner together before he left and went home. He added that at around 11:40 p.m., Heather called him, sounding uncomfortable, asking him to come to the bar because some men there were bothering her.
She called me at 11:40.
So 11:40 she calls you?
Yes. And she tells me that I need to come to the bar. She really needs me right now. There's people hitting on her and she's really upset. I was like, okay, I'll be there. He orders biscuit, gravy, eggs, 2 eggs, sausage. And we sat there. And she was done. I drove her to her apartment, dropped her off. She walked up the stairs, and she was like, okay.
Michael said they left around 2:30 in the morning, and he drove her home. At the end of the interview, detectives took Michael's fingerprints, and he voluntarily agreed to provide a DNA sample, which was sent to the crime lab. The following day, investigators went to the bar and reviewed the surveillance footage confirming that Michael and Heather were there together and eventually left at the same time. But something about the footage raised suspicion. Michael claimed he never hugged or kissed Heather, yet the video showed them unusually close, as though he were leaning toward her more than expected. This detail made detectives doubt his story, and they waited anxiously for the forensic results, believing the fingerprints and DNA would reveal whether Michael was the killer. Later that day, the fingerprint results arrived and confirmed that the bloody print on the bed did not belong to Michael, which was enough for detectives to rule him out immediately without waiting for the DNA match. Attention shifted back to Chaz when investigators discovered he had left town a week before the murder, but returned unexpectedly on the exact night Heather was killed. This led detectives to bring Chaz in for questioning a tense interview that lasted for hours. During the interrogation, Chaz admitted he still loved Heather and denied being controlling, saying he only worried about her because she stayed out late at bars with bad reputations and let too many strangers into her life, which he felt put her in danger. And that was why he remained close even after the protection order. In the end, Chaz agreed to provide fingerprints and DNA. But just like Michael, Chaz was not involved, and the blood fingerprint was not his. At this point, investigators were left with limited leads, and their attention turned toward Kelsey, not because of evidence, but because the list of people Heather frequently interacted with was long, and investigating them all would take valuable time. They called Kelsey in, and despite her grief, she sensed the detectives were asking questions that implied she might be involved, which she strongly rejected. In her emotional response, she said the last contact she had with Heather was at 12:15 a.m., when Heather sent a Snapchat message to a group of friends, including someone named Ortavio.
Can you tell me about him?
I don't know a whole lot about him. He seems like a very nice guy. He's funny.
You got any idea why she would send you a picture of her and Octavio? Why that's a big deal?
I think she thinks they're pretty good friends.
Okay.
Once detectives saw the screenshot, they confirmed the timestamp and realized the message aligned with Michael's statement about men bothering Heather at the bar. Combining both pieces of information led detectives to see Ortavio as the next suspect, and they moved quickly to bring him in for questioning.
What did you do yesterday afternoon?
I went and hung out with Heather. We drank some tequila, and then we went to gyms for a while.
Okay, who was Heather?
A friend of mine.
I'll show you a picture, okay? Do you have any idea when that would have been taken?
It was a little bit before we left to go to gyms.
Who took that picture?
She took it.
Do you know if it was posted or sent to anybody?
It was on Snapchat.
Well, if Heather says that you came back over after she got home, would we believe that not to be true?
Yeah, I didn't show back up over there. Heather texted me at like 2:30 or something.
Can I see the text?
Yeah. But I was already asleep. I saw it this morning.
Ortavio remained remarkably calm because he truly believed he had nothing to fear. So detectives decided to apply pressure by telling him that witnesses saw him entering Heather's apartment, hoping the accusation would break his composure, since at this point he still assumed someone had simply assaulted Heather and had no idea she was dead.
People saw you go in the apartment. Phone records put you at the apartment. You were with her yesterday. Your picture was with her, okay? Because here's what I'm going to tell you at this point, Tate. I believe she texted you to come back over there. You went over there, and then something happened.
No.
And not only was this girl raped, she's dead.
What? No way.
Yes, way, okay? And here's what I'm going to tell you. There's DNA all over that girl. It's going to come back, I believe, to one Mr. Tate.
I'll come back to me.
At the end of the interview, Ortavio agreed to provide fingerprints and a DNA sample, and the results later confirmed that he had no involvement whatsoever in the crime. However, his statements opened an important line of thought for investigators, because if Heather sent him a message that he never saw, then nothing prevented her from sending similar messages to other friends that night. Detectives began examining Heather's phone and discovered she had contacted 7 different people that evening. But among those 7, one name surfaced repeatedly during interviews with friends and acquaintances. That name was Brandon, and investigators decided to begin with him, especially since he had no criminal history and attended the same university where Heather was supposed to start her studies.
How do you know Heather?
We met at gyms.
Do you know when that was?
Maybe 3 months.
Ever been to her apartment?
I have been to her apartment.
The times you had gone over there, did she have to let you in, or was the door unlocked, or do you remember?
So I think she usually left her door unlocked, so.
Let me ask you this, have you ever been sexually intimate with her?
The first night. No, second night. Second time I met her.
You hooked up with her?
Yeah, we did.
When's the last time you were at her apartment?
That might have been in July.
While detectives were questioning Brandon, the crime lab began taking more precise steps because the bloody fingerprint did not match any criminal record. So analysts decided to run the print through the automated fingerprint identification system known as AFIS. And in that moment, everything changed because the bloody print matched Brandon's fingerprint, the same man now sitting in the interrogation room across from investigators.
You know you were there. You know what happened. So now you need to tell me so that I can understand.
I don't know I was there. I don't know I was there. That's the thing.
Okay, well then how did your bloody fingerprint get on the bed?
There's no way I did anything. She just got accepted and polished. I was happy for her.
Look at me, young man, because this is important. They can put you to death. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. Because this is the most important conversation you had in your life. The only way your bloody fingerprint got there is your hand's bloody. And you had your hands on her while you were raping her. So then tell me what happened.
After the interrogation concluded, Brandon Richmond Bowling was charged with first-degree murder and sexual assault. After the medical examiner confirmed that Heather had been assaulted. During the arraignment hearing, Brandon pleaded not guilty, and the court set his bond at $1 million, which he could not pay. So he remained in jail awaiting trial. Detectives believed they had the killer behind bars, yet one unanswered question lingered. The motive behind the crime. Brandon and Heather had been sleeping together, especially after she left Chaz, and during that period, investigators confirmed that Heather had multiple casual relationships. Also, police found no obvious motive on her phone. That led detectives to obtain a search warrant for Brandon's house and his phone. When officers searched his home, nothing unusual stood out, but the true horror was inside his phone. Investigators discovered that during June and July, Brandon had been visiting Heather late at night, drugging her and assaulting her while she was unconscious and recording the attacks. Detectives concluded Brandon had been secretly drugging and violating Heather, and on the night of the murder, she discovered the truth confronted him, and he strangled her and struck her head, all of which was captured on Brandon's phone. After reviewing the footage, prosecutors added 2 additional sexual assault charges for the attacks in June and July.
Tonight, stunning new developments in the high-profile rape and murder case of a young Murfreesboro woman.
The prime suspect allegedly recorded the fatal attack. Now, just weeks before trial, there's a delay, and we've learned there are now more charges based on shocking new video evidence. As News Channel 5's Nick Barris tells us, this brings to mind some elements of the Vanderbilt rape case.
The prime suspect in this case, Brandon Bowling, is here in the Rutherford County Jail on $1 million bond, and the case against him just got more serious because of what was found on his cell phone. 22-year-old Heather Maples was murdered in her Murfreesboro apartment August, 2 years ago. She was found laying on a mattress on her stomach in the apartment living room. Detectives saw signs of blunt force trauma to her head and marks on her neck to indicate strangulation, and she was possibly sexually assaulted. 2 days later, they arrested 22-year-old Brandon Bowling for first-degree murder and rape. Bowling allegedly recorded the fatal attack on his cell phone. Trial was set for this June, but now a chilling new development.
Through the course of investigation, it became apparent new evidence was found, and based on that, new charges were added. I believe there's been a charge of rape, a charge of sexual battery that had been added.
Bowling now faces 2 other counts of rape and sexual battery, also against Maples. Now remember, she was murdered in August 2015, but these charges are from June and July, 2 months prior to her death.
Really can't comment on how that came to be.
District Attorney Jennings Jones would not say, but sources tell News Channel 5 Bowling's cell phone produced more videos of him allegedly sexually assaulting Maples on those 2 other occasions. The indictment on the new charges called Maples physically helpless.
Physically helpless means unconscious or unable to communicate a desire or an unwillingness to participate in an act.
After investigators confronted Brandon with the recordings taken from his phone, and after receiving permission from Heather's family, prosecutors offered a plea deal in which Brandon would plead guilty in exchange for a 40-year prison sentence. In March 2017, the court accepted the agreement, and Brandon was officially sentenced.
New tonight, former MTSU student Brandon Bowling will spend the next 40 years behind bars. This after he pleaded guilty today.
He pleaded guilty today to second-degree murder and aggravated rape of Heather Maples. She was found dead in August of 2015. All other counts against him were dropped. News 2's Larry Flowers joins us live tonight from Rutherford County with the exclusive story and reaction from the victim's mother.
2 mothers brought together by tragedy. Their lives changed forever.
I've prayed for them since this happened. You know, they've always been in my thoughts and prayers. My first thought was, oh my gosh, his mother.
After the plea hearing, the mother of Heather Maples and the mother of Brandon Bowling embraced.
They are victims too. They are. They didn't plan this. They had hopes for their child, just like we have hopes for ours.
Hunter says it meant a lot for Mrs. Bowling to reach out.
Everything. I wanted to be sure that she and I connected.
Bowling decided to plead guilty to second-degree murder and aggravated rape rather than take his chances before a jury at trial.
I am very thankful that he did plead guilty because it proved that he did do it. I did pray for this moment. I wanted it to end this way. I did not want to have to do appeals.
The mother says Heather had a smile that was as big as the sun, but also says she had a bad habit of trusting people. She believed there was good in everyone, even after being bullied in middle school.
She is our first thought in the morning and our last thought at night.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more true crime documentaries. See you in the next video.